Hello guys, the live stream will start shortly. Hello guys, the live stream will start shortly.
Okay guys, so we are going to be installing macOS Ventura on both VMware and VirtualBox, but we're going to start with VirtualBox. So first you need to download VirtualBox. Now you can follow each and every step of this installation so you'll be able to install macOS Ventura on your virtual machine. So first you need to download VirtualBox. Now you can just search for VirtualBox on Google and it should take you to the website virtualbox.org. On the left side you can see download. Just click on download and it will take you right here. Now download for Windows host. I already have it downloaded, so I don't really need to download again, but make sure you download the latest version, which is currently version 7.0.8. Also download VirtualBox extension pack, which you can see over here, VirtualBox extension pack. All right, now click on all supported platforms and it should download. The size is about, I think, 16 megabytes. Okay, so if you have any question why we are trying to run the installation, then you can use the chat box to ask a question and we can answer the questions while we are installing. Okay, so I already have VirtualBox and the extension pack downloaded and installed, but maybe I will just wait for this to download. Okay, so we have VirtualBox and VirtualBox extension pack both downloaded. Now let's open our download folder. Okay, so let me just drag this. So this is VirtualBox and this is VirtualBox extension pack. Now you need to first install VirtualBox before you run the extension pack. So just double click to run VirtualBox. I already have this installed. I'm just going to cancel this, but make sure you install VirtualBox. Okay, someone said I have Ventura VBox, but when I start it, it doesn't boot. Now, what's the error you get when you try to boot Ventura VirtualBox? Write the error code in the chat so we can see what's going on from your end. Now, after installing VirtualBox, you can just open it. And to install the extension pack, you can just double click on it and it should add to VirtualBox. I already have it installed as well, so I'm just going to click on reinstall, but it's just easy to install. Scroll down and agree to the terms. And you should have extension pack installed as well. Now to confirm if the extension pack is installed successfully, you can just click on the 2 icon and go to extensions. And you should be able to see the extension pack right there. Now we can head back to our welcome page and we can create a new virtual machine. Okay, so we have to create a new virtual machine. So click on new I don't know if the sound is loud enough. If you can hear me clearly, then drop a comment in the chat. Okay, now let's call this machine macOS Ventura. And for the ISO, let's just leave it for now. Set the type to macOS X and then set the version to macOS X 64-bit. Now next. And then for the base memory, this is the RAM. So you have to allocate how much RAM you want to your virtual machine. Now, you shouldn't give more than 40% of your RAM to your virtual machine, else it will slow down your host computer. So I'm just going to give it about 3 gigabytes, and that should be okay. And for the processor, I'm going to give it 3 cores, and that should be okay to run macOS. But sometimes you need to reduce it if you encounter errors. But for now, let's leave it this way. Next. And then we're going to go with create a virtual hard disk now. Now this is going to create a virtual hard disk with the storage on our drive. So you have to check your drive if you have enough storage. Now you can see on my C drive, I have just 50 gig free, and macOS needs about 56 gig, I think thereabout, for it to run properly. So you have to make sure the place you want to install macOS, you have enough storage there, else you encounter some errors. Now in this case, I also have a backup drive, which the storage isn't really enough. I'm just going to allocate the 50 gig right here to macOS, but I wouldn't really recommend you do this. Make sure you have enough storage before you even think of running macOS. So I'm just going to allocate 60 gigabytes. Next. And then you can click on finish. Okay, so after doing this, we have to make few changes to our machine. So click on settings up here. And then under system, this is the base memory, which is a RAM. You can change whenever you want. I would even want to increase it to something like 4.6 gigabytes since I have 16 gig on my PC. Processor, you can also adjust it whenever you want. And then go to display and increase the video memory to 128 megabytes. You could enable 3D acceleration, but that wouldn't really work for VirtualBox. And we can go to the USB section. Make sure it is set to USB 3.0. If you don't set it to USB 3.0, you will encounter an issue when you start the installation. So make sure you switch on USB 3.0. And the last thing we have to do is add the ISO. Now I'm copying the ISO from my laptop and it is almost complete. So we're just going to wait for a few minutes. Yeah, it should work on AMD. I can see Max saying if it will work on AMD. For those using AMD based processor, we're going to run a little command to change the CPU profile. That way you can run it on AMD based PC. So that should work. But initially we're just going to try to install them. I'm going to give you the commands you should run for AMD processors. But for now, let's just wait a few minutes for my ISO to copy from my drive, to copy from my laptop so I can add it here. So if you have your ISO, just click on the empty disk icon right here. And then by the side, click on the disk icon again. And then choose a disk file. Now, this is where you locate your ISO file, select it, and then add it. But for now, I won't really do that since I'm waiting for my ISO. That should take less than 5 minutes, I think. So I'm just going to click on OK and wait for a while. Now, while this is waiting, we also have to run some commands so macOS recognizes this computer as a computer eligible to run macOS, because normally you shouldn't be able to run macOS on a Windows-based PC, on a Windows hardware and on a normal hardware. So they have some specific requirements for you to run macOS. So we have to make few changes to VirtualBox to allow us to run macOS. So the commands I would provide is already in the Discord server. I think I will paste the link to the Discord server in the video description, in the live chat, so you can get the commands from there. Okay. Now I will just paste the link to the Discord server. I don't know if I can paste the commands directly. That may not really work. So I'm just going to paste the link to the Discord server. Now, if you are unable to join the Discord server or you just want to get the commands and you want it on the live chat, then just signify so I can try post it there again. So these are the commands. I'm just going to copy it. And I'm going to paste it in Notepad. Okay, so now we have to replace VM name right here with our machine name. Now we can go back to our machine right here, click on settings, and just copy the name exactly as it is right here. Copy it. Let's just click on OK. And then replace VM name here with our machine name. We can just hold Ctrl H. And then replace VM name right here with whatever your machine name is. Replace all. Now, this is where AMD based processor comes in. If you're using an AMD based PC, then if you're using an AMD based processor, then you should check out this section. Let's head to our Discord server. I provided the extra command here. So you can see if you're using an AMD processor, you need to add something else, which I won't be adding since I'm using an Intel based processor. Now you can see this command right here will set your CPU profile to an Intel Core i7 6700, and that way you should be able to run macOS. So this command is only for AMD based processor. Okay, the threads where the commands are, I think I will just paste the commands on the live chat and I will just paste it there. You can just copy it from there. Okay, so check the new link I shared to the server. This link should take you directly to the threads on our Discord server where you can get the commands. Now we have to run the commands with command prompt. So you just set to your search bar and then search for CMD. Right click and run as administrator. Okay, now let's run each and every line of this command. Now, I see some people sharing that they are unable to run the commands or they encounter an error while they run the commands. Now, that is because their main drive isn't bearing the drive letter C, so that wouldn't work. You can see my local drive where I want to install macOS is having the drive letter C, which is the same with the drive letter specified in our commands. So if your local drive or where you want to install macOS is not your C drive, then make sure you change it, but normally it should be your C drive. So I'm just going to copy the first line, paste it in command prompt, and then you shouldn't get any error, you shouldn't get any message successful. You should just go this way. And then the second command as well. The third command as well. If you're unable to get the commands, kindly specify in the chat. And also, you may encounter some issues where you get unable to query SMC value and all that. If that happens, then you have to change this SMC value 1 right here to 0. By doing that, you should be able to run it. So if you encounter something like that, then you should know that it is as easy as that. Just change the 1 to 0. Okay, I can see your response in the chat. Okay. Now, I have the ISO copied to my flash drive. So I'm just going to connect to my PC. Okay, so this is the ISO. Now, if you don't have the ISO, I would recommend you download. So just for reference purpose, why this is copying, I will show you where to get the ISO if you don't have it already. So just head to Tech, I think Richard. Okay, techrichard.com. Okay, now we can just search for macOS Ventura. I think this is a little bit slow. You can, okay, I will just paste the link so you can easily download it instead of going through all this process, because I could see the link from the search. So if you search for it, you will see the link already highlighted here. So that should save you more time than searching all that. So just search for Tech Richard and then get the link directly from here. Download macOS Ventura ISO. And then you can scroll down and you should see a link to Mediafire somewhere around here. Okay, so this is the link right here. Download macOS Ventura ISO for VM. Okay, just open it in new tab. And here is the file. You should start downloading. Let me just shrink the link and then share in the chat so you can easily download. If you're stuck somewhere, make sure to share with us so we can move along. Okay, you say you're trying to install and it panics after a few clicks for some reasons. What exactly is showing on your screen? We need to know exactly what's showing on your screen so we can identify the issue. Now, this is the link. If you want to download the ISO file, you can use this shortened link. I think it shouldn't be that hard to see. Just use the shortened link right here to download macOS Ventura. So I'm just going to close my browser. You should be able to download macOS Ventura. And this is kind of taking forever, but let's just wait for a while. Okay, so if it panics while you're trying to install, just try reduce the resources you allocated to your machine. You can just try reduce the base memory, which is the RAM. Just reduce it to something like 2 gigabytes and then reduce the processor cores to like 1 or 2 and then try to install again. Most times it works even after you try the first time and it fails. It's just compatibility issues, and normally this wasn't built for VirtualBox or VMware or whatsoever, but it works, so you just have to be technical about it. Okay, you see I try to erase the disks and then when I'm selecting the option it reboots and says system panic. Okay, in this case what you have to do is reduce the base memory and the processor cores and run it again. It should work. Okay, you're asking if you need to download this on your virtual machine if you already have a macOS Ventura on your MacBook. If you have a macOS Ventura PKG or whatsoever file extension, you need to convert it to an ISO. If you can do that, then you don't really need to download again. But if you don't want to do that, then you can just download the ISO directly. So whichever you prefer, that's your choice. where is the code? I already posted the code in the chat. Hold on, let me paste it again. Alright, so check the chat room. You should see the code there. You should see the link to the thread where you can get the codes. Now, note that you shouldn't run the extra command here for AMD. Don't run it except you're using an AMD-based processor. Okay, someone saying system rebooted after panic. Hold on, after the ISO finish copying, we'll try to run the installation and we'll be able to tackle that. Okay, so ISO copied successfully. We don't really need command prompt again. Now go to your storage. If you haven't added the ISO, click on the empty disk icon. By the right, click on the disk, choose the disk file, locate your download folder wherever your ISO is, select it, and then add it. Now we can click on OK and then start the installation. Now, most people don't know it actually takes time to install. Sometimes you just have to wait. It may take over an hour or even more. It just depends on your hardware, and that's just it. Sometimes you try to install and it doesn't work. All you need to do is restart your PC and then try that same thing again, and most times it always works. But you just have to be patient if you're trying to run macOS on VirtualBox or VMware. But if you're trying to set up on a full Hackintosh, then that is way different. I mean, it installs better than using it on a virtual machine, but that's just how it works. And also, if you're looking for how to easily install it and you don't really want to run into any of these issues, then I would suggest VMware. VMware is a lot better than VirtualBox if you're trying to run macOS. I've done this installation over 10-20 times and VMware is always better. But then both works, but one is a little more stressful than the other. Okay, so after that first stage, you should be welcomed with this where we can start erasing the disks and then installing macOS. So that first stage is normal. It may take about 5 minutes or more, but it's normal. Now we just have to select the language for the installation and then continue. Now, if it feels slow, the reason why that happens is because this is 128 megabytes. That is the video memory. And now you can see my system rebooted after panic. I think this is the same issue a lot of people were getting. Your system runs into a panic after it reboots. Now I'm getting this same issue. So if you are encountering this same issue, then this is the best time for you to pay attention, because I just have to reduce the resources allocated and it should run. So let's see if the second time it works. If you're having any issue, make sure to share it in the chat room. We won't stay long with VirtualBox. We also move to VMware. So if you have any issue, you're getting any error, then make sure to share in the chat room so we can assist you with that. Okay, so it rebooted the first time. Let's see the second time now. And you can see I didn't really do anything. I just allowed it to run again and it's no longer rebooting. This doesn't mean it won't reboot again, but if it does, we just have to reduce the resources allocated. But now let's go to disk utility and then continue. Hopefully my storage won't be an issue since I don't have enough storage, I think. Okay, so you can see VBox hard disk media here, which is the the virtual hard disks were located. Now click on erase up here. Make sure it is selected VBox hard disk media, and then click on erase. Give it a name you can easily recognize it with. So I'm just gonna call it macOS 13. Set the format to APFS. That's the format macOS recognizes. Or you can use macOS extended journal. Both works, but we're good with this. And then erase. And we are done with that. Click on done, and then close this window. Install macOS 13 beta. Continue. Click on continue again. Someone said it's not moving. I don't know what's happening. Sometimes it gets stuck at one stage, either a kernel or reading the DMG. But either way, just wait probably 2-3 minutes and you should get past that stage. So you can see right, I'm even clicking on continue, but it's taking almost forever just to load. So you just have to wait. Sometimes it takes time to load some things up, but you just have to wait. If it exceeds 5 minutes, then something is probably wrong. But just wait a while. Now agree to the terms right here and then select your drive and continue. I have a feeling this will restart into panic because the resources are allocated is kind of much in a way. So allocated about 4.6 gigabytes, 3 CPU cores, and I have a feeling this may become an issue. Now this is where it gets tricky. This process takes about an hour. Sometimes it takes even longer than that. Other times it takes less than that. It all depends on where you're installing it. If it's an SSD, if it's a normal HDD, and many other factors. But then it takes about an hour. So it will restart severally and then continue installing. But if it restarts and then goes back to the initial setup page asking you to select a language and then format your drive and all that, then something is wrong. And in that case, all you have to do is restart your PC, get back to VirtualBox, and then reduce the resources you allocated to Mac OS. If you allocated about 4 gig, just reduce it to 2 gig, and then reduce the CPU cores. After you successfully install Mac OS, you can set it to whatever you want. But for the installation, you need to reduce it if it encounters panic and reboots severally. But while it is installing, it should reboot severally, and that is totally normal. So you just have to wait for it to run. Now this is the best time to tackle any issue. So if you're having any issue, then I am in the chat room right now. Make sure you share it here so we can tackle it and I can help you, assist you with that. Okay, someone said, okay, MD Sohail, yeah. He said, when I finished downloading, it says this system rebooted after a panic. Okay, that happened to me like a few minutes ago and I didn't really do anything. It just worked. But in your case, reduce the CPU and your RAM. That should fix the issue for you. Just reduce the CPU, your RAM, and then start up again and you should be able to run it. If that doesn't work, then you can share with us. Let's see what's next. Now, I may not really wait for this entire process to run through, but maybe let's just wait. While this is running, we might as well start installing VMware, but I don't know. What do you think? Should we wait for it to install or should we start VMware installation while this is running? That would be a lot of work for our CPU and, well, let's see how it goes. Okay, I can see your message. Bloody peacekeeper. You said if it fails, do I have to reformat the disk again or can just keep that? If it fails, if it boots into a panic mode and you've already erased the disk earlier, you don't need to erase the disk again. Just proceed with the installation after you reduce the resources you allocated, and that should be okay. Just try it and let me know, because in a few minutes I will switch to VMware. But I just want this to restart so you see how it goes. So you don't think it will just install straight. Most times it will crash, it will restart, and it will continue installing, but you just have to wait. MD, like I said earlier, I don't know if you were listening, but I said you should reduce the resources you allocated and restart your machine again. Just reduce the resources you allocated and restart your machine again. That should work. Okay, you say I did. Okay, what is the current RAM and CPU you allocated to your Mac OS? What is the current RAM and CPU right now? Okay, I can see a message from G, and you said you downloaded it and it's working slow. Do you mean okay, you installed it already and it's working slow? You're using an Intel i5 11400 and 16 gig RAM. How much resource did you allocate to your Mac OS machine? Most times you may allocate maybe 10 gig RAM or something on the high side to your machine, and it will even work slower than when you allocate something lesser than that. So sometimes you have to allocate less. Now you can see my machine is rebooting into panic mode. So let's see if it continues with the installation or it starts from the beginning again, just like MD was having. You can see MD, this is the same thing that is happening to you, I guess. So you can see my machine reboots while it is installing. Let's see if it continues the installation or it starts from the beginning, so we can know what to do about that. Okay, so MD, if I got you correctly, this is the same thing you were having on your end. So after you try to install, it reboots into panic and then it goes back to the beginning, just the same way I'm having it here. In this case, all I have to do is shut down the machine. Shut down your machine, and then I'm going to reduce the base memory, which is the RAM. I will just reduce it to something really low. After the installation, we can actually increase this, but that's fine for now. I might even set it to 1 CPU, and this is really bad, but we should be able to install with this. And then let's start again. You can see my installation rebooted again into panic mode, which is normal. You just have to continue the installation. If this repeats over and over again, then just restart your PC and then try again. There are some instances where I try to install macOS, I think it should be Big Sur, I think, and then it doesn't work. I restart my PC, I start the installation again, it doesn't work. I try it again and again and again with the same setup, and later it works. So most times it doesn't really work at your first take, but you just have to try it again, and other times it actually works. Now you can see it is crashing and I'm unable to do anything right now. So I'm just going to close it again, adjust the CPU cores. I'm going to set it to 2 now. Maybe that's too low. Increase the RAM a little bit. This is 2 gigabytes of RAM and this is 2 CPU cores. This should be better. Okay, so anyone watching, I think there is a limit of 1 hour for this stream. I'm not that sure if I'm not that sure. I need to confirm so it doesn't disconnect. Hello, MD. What's the update from your end? What's the issue? Are you still on the installation? Okay, now let's proceed. Now this time we don't really have to format our disks again since we did that before now. So I'm just going to continue with the language and install macOS. Okay, so this time you should be able to install as long as you reduce the resources you allocated to your machine. I might move to VMware because this may take a lot of time, probably about an hour. And I think some people are waiting for VMware and this should take a lot of time, but let's just wait for a few minutes, then we can proceed with VMware. But if you're having any issue with VirtualBox, you should ask. Okay, someone is asking if the beta version is. Someone is asking if the beta version is better than the actual release. Golden Apple, you said you can't boot. What is the issue? What is the error you're getting on your end that's preventing you from booting? Well, I think, John, I think you should actually get the actual release if you can, but the beta version actually works fine. Okay, you said it's showing 16 minutes remaining with the Apple logo. Well, that's normal. It actually takes longer than that. So you just have to wait. Golden Apple, what exactly is the error you're getting? What exactly is preventing you from booting? What's the error you're getting? We need to know exactly the error you're getting from your end so we can assist you with that. MD, if you reduce your resources, you tried installing again, and then it reboots to panic mode, restart your PC and then try it again after restarting your PC. At this moment, you just have to restart your PC and try again. Just keep trying, and that should work. It's usually not that easy to just install once. And for Golden Apple, I would suggest you share an image of the error you're getting on our Discord server. I think I can see it from here. So make sure you share, just head to our Discord server and share an image of the error you're getting. Restart your PC and then try the installation again. I may be moving to VMware because this would take a very long time. As you can see, this is showing 16 minutes remaining, and it will reboot and then show about a minute left, and it may even take more than 30 minutes while it's showing less than a minute left. But if you encounter that, you should just wait for it to install. Meanwhile, I would suggest you run VMware instead of VirtualBox if you really want it to be up as soon as possible. Okay, someone said, thank you for doing the live stream. I wish I wasn't so late. I appreciate your time. Okay, if you're just joining the live stream now, then you're not really late because we will soon start the installation on VMware and you should be able to work with that. Okay, Golden Apple, you said I did. Expecting, okay, that should be an image on our Discord server. I can't see anything on the Discord server right now. I can't see any new message. Drop a screenshot of the error you got. Golden Apple, you said you're back to Windows. This is not a full Hackintosh open core build. This is just VirtualBox. So you should be on Windows. Share an image on our Discord server. You said you got an error saying end randomized. That is new. But share the image in our Discord server. I'm also checking that out so I can see exactly what's showing up. I think I'll be switching to VMware now. This may take an hour and we don't really have to just sit around and wait. Unless you're getting an error which you're finding it difficult to work with, then we can sort it out. Golden Apple, it's not working. Share an image on our Discord server. Share an image there so we can see the error you're talking about. You said I can't join this server. Okay, let me share the link. The server is open for everyone to join. I don't know why, but let me share the link. Okay, so just check the chat. You should see the link to the Discord server. Join the server and share an image of whatever error you're getting before we switch to VMware. So please make it a little bit fast because in the next 5 minutes we should be installing on VMware. This might take too long and we won't be able to wait for it. But if you got to this stage now, you should be able to install. If you're unable to install, then just move around your CPU and your base memory, and then if it doesn't work, restart and then try again. That's just all you need and you should be able to run it. If you try everything possible and this doesn't work, then the best bet would be going for either Monterey or macOS Big Sur. Both of them are actually great, and if you're unable to run Ventura, you can run Big Sur. But regardless, it should work. So let's just see how it goes. Okay, you share the image on Discord. All right, I think I can see it. And random seed. Okay, this means you didn't even get to boot Mac OS. Okay, hold on a while. Are you sure you set everything the way it should be? Make sure you set your what do they call it? Make sure you set the type to Mac OS X and the version to Mac OS X 64-bit. Sometimes these are some of the things that cause errors like this. This is totally different error and probably the first time I'm seeing it. Make sure you set the type to Mac OS X and the version to Mac OS X 64-bit. Check if that is set. If it isn't, then make sure you set it, and also enable EFI, because if you don't set the type to Mac OS X and the version to Mac OS X 64-bit, EFI won't be enabled by default. So make sure you enable EFI and check that. If it is set that way, then let me know so we can know maybe something else is wrong. But just check and update me. Okay, you said you just downloaded, okay, Arcadia. I don't know if that's the correct pronunciation, but you said you just downloaded all of the files needed, including VMware and VirtualBox, and you don't want to hold up anything. Well, we haven't started the installation on VMware, so you could catch up with that. But VirtualBox, we are almost done. We're just waiting for those still having issues with it. But this way, you should just install without any issue. It will just take time, but at the end, it will install. Okay, MD, you said you've got issues again. What exactly is the issue, MD? It keeps boot looping into panic mode. At this point, the best thing I can tell you to do, the best thing I can tell you to do right now is restart your PC. I don't know if you did that the last time I told you, but restart your PC and then try the installation again. Just restart your PC and try again. If everything else fails, then you might have to stick to Big Sur or a lower version like, okay, Monterey or Big Sur. But just restart your PC and try again. You said you finished installing macOS. How do you mean by that? You mean you finished the entire installation and you got to the setup page after the installation, or you were almost done with the initial installation itself? I don't know exactly where you're stuck. Were you done with the entire installation and you got to the setup page where you're supposed to customize your machine, or what? Okay. Entire installation. Okay. Okay. Golden Apple said it might be the ISO. Yeah, most times it might be the ISO. If you downloaded the ISO over an unstable network, it may be corrupt, and sometimes you have to download again, which, yeah, you can do that, but you have to be sure of everything else before you download again. It's actually huge. That's almost 15 gigabyte, and it should take you some time unless you have a good network. It is stuck in 8 minutes for a while and then boot looped. Okay, this is quite normal. This is not the first time. It happens sometimes. Restart, try again. If it doesn't work, then switch to a lower version like Big Sur, or you can try another version and it should work. Sometimes you may even have to try the previous version of VirtualBox, since the new ones they release sometimes are not compatible with macOS Ventura and all that. Okay, so in a few minutes we'll be going to VMware. I think this will take forever if we try to wait for it. This may take longer than expected. So in a few minutes I'll be switching to VMware. It's been about an hour now and we are just trying to install on VirtualBox. If you're able to install, then make sure to share images on the Discord server. So let's see.